Hi, I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, your daily 10-minute explanation of the day's news. Thank you for watching. 3 American citizens who'd been held prisoner in North Korea were expected to arrive in Washington, D.C. early Thursday morning. They were on a plane with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He'd traveled to North Korea to finalize some of the preparations for a historic summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The White House called the prisoners' release a gesture of goodwill by North Korea, and President Trump said he was honored by the fact that the men were coming home. Kim Dong-chul had been in North Korea since 2015 and accused of spying for South Korea, a U.S. ally. Tony Kim and Kim Hak-sung were arrested last spring as tensions between the U.S. and North Korea were heating up. But as we've talked about this year, those tensions have cooled off significantly. So much so that the two countries' leaders are expected to hold their first ever face-to-face meeting in a matter of weeks. The Trump administration says its maximum pressure campaign on North Korea has worked to bring the communist country back to the negotiating table. That campaign included the international economic penalties on North Korea that the U.S. supported. But North Korea refuted that, accusing the U.S. of provoking it and threatening the dialogue between the nations. Either way, the meeting between their leaders is still on. The White House says its location will be announced in a matter of days, though President Trump says the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea is no longer being considered. 10-second trivia. Epidemiology is a branch of medicine that focuses on what? Allergies, the skin, ethics, or disease? An epidemiologist is going to focus on the presence or absence of disease and what influences that. Medical teams are rushing to contain an outbreak of the Ebola virus in Central Africa. 2 cases have been confirmed in the northwestern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But over the past 5 weeks, there have been 21 suspected cases of Ebola and 17 people have died from it. On average, the hemorrhagic fever kills about 50% of the people who catch it. Scientists don't know exactly where Ebola comes from. They believe it's transmitted to people from wild animals and then spread from person to person. Government officials and international medical workers, including some with the World Health Organization, are all trying to work together to stop Ebola's spread in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Still, a Congolese official says there's a, quote, worrisome sanitary situation related to this outbreak. Ebola's a rare disease, but it is native to the DRC. This is the 9th time there's been an outbreak there. That virus and others like it have welled up in several countries throughout Central and West Africa, the worst being an Ebola outbreak in March of 2014, which sickened more than 28,000 people, mostly in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. There's no cure or approved vaccine for Ebola. Chances of survival can be improved with intravenous fluids, oxygen, and medical monitoring.
Well, Ebola is not the Great Plague, there's no question about that, but it is a pretty formidable killer. It kills swiftly, it kills efficiently, and oftentimes associated with a lot of blood. The grim reality is that it often kills so quickly that people don't have time to spread it. Ebola is not that contagious, but it is infectious. What that means is it doesn't spread easily from person to person, but it only takes a very small amount to cause an infection. On average, the person who gets Ebola, if they're going to die usually within about 10 days. Ebola does not travel through the air like the flu, for example. It is something that you really only get if you spend time with somebody who is sick and you come in contact with their bodily fluids. It is false that Ebola liquefies your organs and tissues. That's the stuff of science fiction and horror movies. What does happen, though, is it can cause significant bleeding. Your body just can't keep up with the clotting, and as a result, you start bleeding from lots of different organs. It's a myth that Ebola is the most dangerous disease that humans have ever encountered. HIV/AIDS, for example, certainly has killed more people, and up until recently, there was no treatment for that disease either. Rabies, something that you can get from animals as well. If you develop symptoms, you're very unlikely to survive.
Next, we're hiking through the Great Smoky Mountains, part of the Appalachian Range that joins Tennessee and North Carolina. There's a town in the Tar Heel state named Andrews, incorporated in 1905, current population around 2,000. That includes a volleyball player who's working to make a difference in and beyond her high school. Savannah Horton is a positive athlete, a member of our news series that shines a light on influential high school athletes across America. Head to cnn.com/positiveathlete to nominate someone you know.
Nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina lies Andrews High School, a school of just 273 students.
My name is Savannah Horton. I'm a junior at Andrews High School, and I play volleyball. It's a very loving community. We get a lot of bad rep a lot of times because we are so small, and everybody has that small town mentality, but if you're not from here, you wouldn't know how big the heart is here.
Savannah is definitely a leader out on the court. She's got a big heart, and she loves and serves this community and school and team like I haven't seen before.
We have had a lot of people come to my coach and say that they see a chemistry in us that they don't see in a lot of different teams. We may not win every game, but we play together.
There's something special about her. There really is, and it comes across in everything that she says and everything that she does, but she has a passion.
Over the summer, she was chosen as one of 7 students to represent North Carolina at a National Student Leadership Summit.
This summer, she went and worked with the Special Olympics, and she wants to see more recognition for this area. In the rural area, we don't have as much of that.
It's something that she's very passionate about. She wants all the students to feel involved.
I want to bring that into Andrews. And to kick that off, we're having the Special Olympic athletes walk out the football team here at the high school for a rivalry game.
She really sets goals, and she sets high goals. She doesn't settle.
When I leave high school, I want to be remembered. Maybe not for what I accomplished, but for how I made people feel.
For 10 out of 10, 28, 24, and 37. Those are the ages of the top 3 finishers at this year's Daytona 500. But NASCAR, the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, has no age limit for older drivers. So Herschel McGriff, who's 90 years old, didn't just compete at a recent NASCAR-sanctioned event, he set the record for the oldest driver to race in one. McGriff didn't win, he finished last. The race was won by a 17-year-old. But McGriff has won dozens of times before and says he wouldn't backtrack in his life for anything. It's tough not to appreciate his camber. McGriff refused to let age be a downforce, a drag, or a restrictor plate. It's great he was drafted for the race. Now maybe he didn't play spoiler in it, but he still stayed on track and found his groove, a driving force to be reckoned with. You get my drift. I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10.